and that is the first time I've used the countdown.
What did you
And
get for Christmas, Mitch?
yeah,
He got himself a new countdown.
I got a new countdown button for Christmas and New Year. Absolutely been buzzing to try that out, and actually only decided 30 seconds before. So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, happy
Um,
New Year to everybody.
yes,
As always, the resident live stream duo act of
yeah.
myself and Mitch Hanley here, just to discuss what's the topic of today's conversation, Mitch?
Today is staying safe with remote property inspections. So obviously over the Christmas period, the COVID decided to get a new variant and get more contagious, and then literally every
It put
person,
itself an add-on on.
yeah, every time I was looking on social media or Instagram, or people posting pictures of them testing positive for COVID. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do a live stream today about how Hive has a solution for property managers, agents, and even tenants to do property inspections. So,
I was
yes,
going to
that's what we're
say,
going to talk about today.
I had a couple of conversations last week with agents that said they've already fell behind with their inspection reports, so their interim
Mm,
visits or midterms, property management visits, however you might
yeah,
refer to them, saying that they'd fell behind already and they were worried about their backlog. As you say, Mitch, we've got a solution for that keeps everybody safe, or at least conscious of social
yeah,
distancing measures and crossing paths and such. So
exactly. I think this tool will be ideal because obviously you might have members of staff in the agent who are off due to COVID or self-isolating or working from home. You've got tenants as well, because obviously you can't go in the property if the tenant's self-isolating to do a report, or you might just be worried about catching COVID, or you just want to be extra safe. No need to go to the property, and obviously it just saves you time as well because it saves you traveling to the property itself. So
I think we were discussing before about carbon neutral, Mitch,
yeah,
just in general, because obviously me and Mitch have very high caliber conversations,
yeah,
and obviously, like you've just said, it saves travelling from the property. So from an ethical background as well, you can sort of consider that, and along with time saving. So it's a win-win on all fronts, I think.
definitely. So yeah, let's get started. So what I'm going to show you today is basically how the self-inspect virtual visit tool works on Hive, so you can do remote property visits. So I think the key thing about the remote property visits as well is why they're so important as well. So the main benefits are is that social distancing is obviously important to prevent the spread of COVID during the pandemic. So before carrying out a virtual visit or remote virtual visit, it helps prevent the risk of personal contact, but it also enables you to check the property for any compliant, to make sure the compliance is in place, and it also gives the opportunity for the tenant to raise any urgent maintenance issues as well. Because if say you can't visit the property and there's an urgent maintenance issue, then the tenant can't raise that until it might get even worse. Like for example, there might be a leak in the roof, for example, that needs urgent attention. So doing these remote visits means those issues can be raised and those maintenance issues can be actioned straight away, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
we did a live stream I think before Christmas just on interim visits in general, so midterm inspections, and obviously one of the points we raised on that stream that we did there was not letting things get worse. So a simple repair, for example,
yeah,
can save both the agent money, the landlord money in turn. Whereas if your resident doesn't get the opportunity to raise that, obviously that could transpire and get a lot worse, and then a full replacement might be needed for something rather than a, a repair. So
exactly. Yeah, absolutely spot on. So before I fully crack on, just so everyone knows, if you guys want to get in touch with myself or Alex, or drop us an email at info@imagehive.co.uk, we'll be able to provide you with this toolkit. So we call it the virtual visit toolkit. So this gives you everything you need to help create your report. We'll give you a guide for tenants. So the tenant will get this guide just here that I'm showing on my screen now, showing them how they'll be able to provide feedback or raise any maintenance issues, but I'll touch on that in a moment. We'll provide you with a example report. So this is what a self-inspect tenant self-inspect visit would look like. So this is just an example report we'll put in the toolkit. We'll also put in a risk assessment as well, so you can complete a risk assessment of your offices or of the property, which you can have a look through here and conduct that. And also, we'll even give you some template wording as well. So this is quite important, and I'll be using this right now to conduct my report. So if I go on my Interim Hive account now, I've got my property set up, my tenant set up, which is myself today, and then I'm just going to create a interim visit today. So I'm just going to do an interim visit, and it's quite important to make sure you complete compliance checklist questions as well. So it's fairly, I'm not sure how many people don't do compliance checklist questions when doing an interim, but hopefully many people do. I think there's no reason not to. So
No, definitely a good point there, Mitch. I think that, like, as you say, there's sort of no reason not to. I think from a letting agent standpoint, property management, obviously you guys are, generally speaking anyway, charging the landlord a fee for these visits, or for managing the property in general. It adds that extra element to the report, which gives sort of more credibility. So you'll see in a minute when Mitch goes through it anyway, but things that a self-managing landlord might not have considered. So it helps sort of not justify the fee in a way, but it shows, right, we think about all of these different things. The
yeah,
landlord can then think, well, I wouldn't have thought of that. Oh, clearly it's a good thing that I've got these guys on the ball. They know that they're up to date with rental payments or something. They know what to look for when they're going in and having a look at those compliance checklist questions.
yeah,
So I think from that respect, it's very important, and I think it's quite a hot topic at the minute anyway, in terms of landlords and self-managing, and the condition that some properties get into. And obviously from an agent standpoint, you guys know that you're worth your weight in gold in terms of compliance anyway. So it just
exactly that.
helps justify that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely right, Alex. Yeah. Um, so what I'm going to do now is what you might typically want to do as well is when completing this report on the desktop site, you might want to give the tenant a telephone call. So the reason behind this is so when you're completing your report just here and filling in the relevant descriptions in each room, it gives the tenant the opportunity just to make sure those compliance checklist questions are accurate and up to date, but also they could raise any maintenance issues. So let me just pretend you're my tenant today, Alex. I'm going to go through and complete my report, and I'm just going to say to you, Alex, do you have any urgent maintenance issues that you want to raise?
If I was to think of something, just to give you an example, maybe my cooker hood isn't responsive,
Oh,
so my extraction isn't working in my kitchen potentially.
perfect.
Just off the top of my head.
Yeah, so in that case, if I was the inspector doing this from the desktop site, I'd just go into the kitchen, add in that particular item and just put in extract cooker hood. Just explain the tenant has reported that this is not responsive.
I think it's important as well, just to mention that you could, in theory, produce these reports without speaking to the resident, but I would definitely recommend speaking to the resident. It's another touch point from a satisfaction perspective, remembering that a lot of agents' reviews come from happy tenants,
Yes.
as well as landlords that have had a good service.
Yeah.
It's sort of a double pronged approach, really, isn't it,
Yeah.
as an agent?
It
So
it
you've got the opportunity here to touch base with them, I guess.
yeah. It just helps build a positive relationship with them as well, because
Definitely.
obviously the last thing you want is that stigma between agent or landlord and tenant to be have a broken down relationship. So this is a good way to help build up that relationship as well. So like Alex said, he said that the extractor cooker hood is not responsive. I've added that in the description just here. I've put the condition, record the condition cleanliness as well. And you can also flag it for maintenance. So you can say the item needs repairing. It is the landlord's, tenants, insurance responsibilities to just choose whoever you want. And you can add in a remedial cost as well if you wish to. If you've got an integration with FitzFlow, you can send it to your FitzFlow account as well. But I won't do that on this occasion. So click done. That information has been recorded, and then I'll just ask the tenant again if there's anything else they want to raise. So, for example, if there isn't, then I'll just go into each room, in the general overview description and just add in a general description. This is where I would use my tenant self-inspect template. So you can copy and paste some of these descriptions, or if you want to, you can just choose from the drop-down menu as well. So if I want to say, for example, the tenant's recorded that it's clean and tidy and there's no maintenance issues raised in this room and there's no tenancy breaches evident. So they can add that one in if they want to, or like I said, they can just copy and paste some of the descriptions here. Like I'm just going to copy this one here. The tenant raises no concerns in relation to health and safety.
I think it's important at this point as well, just to note that what will happen once you've filled all of this in. So just to tell you guys where it will be going, more to the point, is this will then be sent across to the tenant. They
Yep,
can then add photos of each space into that. So that's where the element where you might normally go in and take the images yourself. You no longer need to have to do that. It's just a case of the tenant, they open it in a browser and they just pop a picture in of each space, and then you will then be able to have a review of the property remotely, essentially.
yep, absolutely right, Alex. Yeah, cheers for raising that. So I've added that into the first room. If that's the case in every room, then you can just tick this clone item description button and it will copy all of these descriptions over to every room. So it just saves you retyping it into each room basically. So once I've ticked that, click save and next, as you can see, that's copied over to every room. So now I've done that, I'm just going to preview, confirm I've inspected all of the rooms because I've confirmed that with the tenant, and click done. And then I've got some report notes that I can add in as well. So again, I can copy and paste from this the toolkit description as well. So I can copy, this is a self-inspector report completed in conjunction with the tenant to comply with government requirements for shielding or self-isolation as the tenant is classed to be vulnerable. So there's loads of descriptions you can copy and paste. So I'm just going to copy and paste all of this here, but delete out the applicable. So
Obviously,
this will,
you'll get you'll get this toolkit if you want it. Obviously, just send us the email as Mitch said, info@inventoryhive.co.uk,
yeah,
and then as he mentioned, you can just delete what's not applicable to you. We'll just leave it all in there for the sake of speed on this occasion, but
yeah,
you can adapt it as you see fit.
perfect. So that will go into your report. That will appear on the front cover of your report as well. So if the tenant, landlord, agent ever reviews this report, they can clearly see the report notes there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just go through my compliance questions as well and checklist. So because this report has been sent electronically to the tenant or tenants for self-inspect, I'm going to tick that as yes. And then obviously the tenant won't be present during the inspect. Well, they are present because you'll be talking to them over the phone. And then again, there's some more access checklist notes you can copy and paste in as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in just to make it look a bit neater.
Yeah, and then what Mitch will do once sort of finalised, they'll just have a final preview of the report, just so that then you've seen so what it looks like.
Yeah,
These are all a list of the different compliance checklist questions. Obviously, we won't go through them all today.
yeah,
If you're a current user of the system, you can have a look for yourself. Equally, if you want to book a 10-15 minute slot with one of the team, we're more than happy to run through these in more detail with you as well if you want to. But as I
yeah,
mentioned before, from a sharing with a landlord perspective, there are different summary questions that sort of show what's considered when you actually do these midterm interim inspections, as Mitch just goes through and finalises them.
yeah. The key thing as well when doing the compliance checklist questions is they're all set to positive answers already, assuming that the property is all okay and compliant. So that will just speed up your reporting time as well. The next thing I'm going to do is my signatures and approval. So it will ask me if the tenant was present during the inspection. So you can just tick yes or no. Would you like to obtain a tenant signature for the report? Yes, you would, because you're going to send this to them digitally very shortly. Question 3, I always just tick no, because obviously the tenant isn't present anyway. And then the final question, it will say, would you like to send an electronic copy to the tenant for them to provide feedback? So make sure that's ticked as yes. The tenant's email has been inputted incorrectly, and then that will get sent to the tenant, and I'll show you how that will look very shortly.
Yeah, so that's the element where the tenant will have the opportunity to actually provide the images within the spaces, as we mentioned at the start.
Yeah.
So that in a nutshell is that report finalised. Just one
Yeah.
thing for Mitch to do, and that's preview it. Just to give
So
you an example.
before sending this across to the tenant to add their photographs in, it will say at the top that it's a tenant self-inspect visit. It's adding the report notes, any maintenance issues, the glossary terms, the compliance and safety questions, and then here is all of the descriptions that we've put into the report ready.
Yeah, and as you can see, that yellow banner was where we were highlighting the repair that was needed
Yeah,
to the extractor cooker hood. And equally on the front page, that's summarised. So when you're sending this copy over to the landlord, which you can do so electronically, or you can download it as a PDF, attach it to your own emails, etc. That's all summarised for them, so they can literally just at a glance go, right, what's needed in my property. Okay, yeah, that's summarised. I'll get that fixed. I'll instruct you to arrange.
lovely. So I'm happy with that. I'm now going to send this to the tenant, and then they'll get an email for them to provide the photographs. And I'll show you exactly now how that works. When the tenant gets the email, they'll also get this guide, and this will show them how they'll be able to provide photographs and comments in their virtual visit or remote virtual visit. In this guide as well, again, this will come in the toolkit. They've got some YouTube videos as well. So these YouTube videos will just show very simply how the tenant can add those photographs in. So this is where I'm going to jump to my lovely YouTube channel, the Hive YouTube channel, and then
Where I'm sure a lot of you are watching this watching this fine quality production.
yes, exactly that. So this is what the tenant would see. So the tenant has received an email. I'm just going to enlarge the screen of their self-inspect virtual visit report. When they get the email, they'll just click on the email and then they'll be able to view the report. It will also outline why it's important to do the report and everything like that. So once they've clicked on view report, they'll be able to see the compliance checklist questions straight away.
It's like a Mitchception now.
Yeah. Step 2, this will take you through the website report that confirms some of the health and safety checklist questions designed to show you the property is compliant. So this is where the tenant would take a moment to read the information and then choose save and continue at the bottom. Once that's done, they'll be going to the next step of the providing feedback of the report. Again, this is done completely remotely. The property inspector is probably working on the next report now for the next tenant, while the actual tenant is finishing this off.
Yeah, it's important to highlight that essentially you can get a lot more of these reports done. So as I mentioned at the start, I've had a few agents say that they're sort of running behind with these, they're getting a backlog. You can sort of churn out a fair few of these in one day rather than the traditional, right, I've got to go and arrange. You'd originally have to arrange the meeting with the tenant, then you'd have to physically go, schedule that in your diaries, go and see the next one.
Yeah,
You can get a lot more done in such a short space of time.
yeah, and you can even push these out in bulk as well if you really want to.
Yeah, and again on that, if you current user and you want more information, just let us know and we can set up a screen share.
Yeah. So the next step for the tenant to do is to add photographs into each general overview of the room. So they must provide at least one photograph. The reason that is, it's just to show that when the telephone consultation call was had with the tenant, that it actually evidences what they've said. So the tenant will be able to access the camera roll on the phone if they're doing it through the phone and add those photographs in. Again, they must add in at least one photograph, but they can add in up to 5. So in this example here, you can see on the screen, the tenant's going to show that the light's working as well. So they've turned the light on. It's good to get a photograph from each corner of the room, one of the ceiling, one of the floor as well. So it just helps put more evidence into the report and supports the written description as well.
I think it's important just to note on that that they don't need access to the app or anything like that. This is literally
Yeah,
just opened up in a browser URL. So it's not like you need to be communicating and setting up username logins or anything like that. They literally just get a link in their emails, they follow that, and away they go.
yeah. Exactly. Something else that the tenant can also do is if they realise, say, after the report was sent, that they actually want to raise another issue or maintenance issue, then they can do that. So in this case, as you can see on the report here, the inspector noted that the tenant confirmed there was no maintenance issues and no concerns about health and safety. But they might have, say, gone into one of the rooms, like the bedroom, for example, and wanted to raise an issue. So if they wanted to do that, they can tick no to the question below and add in some additional comments. So in this example here, they're going to put there is a leak stain on the ceiling. And I know this because there was actually a leak stain on my ceiling, and I actually used my actual bedroom roof ceiling as an example. So there's the leak stain.
Did you make that stain
I
purely for Inventory Hive benefit, Mitch?
I wish I did, but unfortunately, when the bill came out to fix it, I wish I could claim that back on expenses. But anyway, so yeah, so the tenants added in those comments, added some photographs as well, and that will also get sent back to the inspector.
Perfect. And then there you have a full virtual visit inspection report, essentially
Yeah,
done nice and quick and easy. I mean, me and Mitch have chatted through the process, and it still only took 20 minutes. I don't know many situations where an agent has got to go to a physical property, have a look at the process, have their chat with the tenant as well, and they're back to the office in 20 minutes. Not unless that resident literally lives on the high street next to your shopfront and offices. So there we go. We've highlighted the benefit of that right there.
perfect. Have I stopped sharing? Yes, I have.
You have
I've
stopped
got
sharing your
yeah.
screen, yeah.
So basically, like Alex said, the time it probably takes you to travel to the property, get in the property, obviously record all the issues and actually conduct that report obviously takes a lot longer than doing it remotely, and obviously it's a lot safer doing it remotely. So hopefully that process is really simple. We've not really had any issues by tenants saying they can't do it. Most tenants now are quite tech savvy and they've got mobiles and it can all access from the tablet and mobile devices. Once the report's done, it will get saved on your Inventory Hive account. You can access it at any time and download it as well. And when it's completed, the tenant will also get a copy sent to them as well in a full PDF format. So yes, that pretty much sums up today, guys. I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, Alex, before we
I
finish
think
up.
I think we've pretty much hit the nail on the head with the full process, Mitch. I'll be honest. I sort of come to these live streams and let Mitch do all the fancy stuff, like his Christmas countdown and whatnot.
Yeah,
And I'm very impressed at how quick we were able to go through the full process, and I think that really does highlight the benefit of using these remote visits. And I think you touched heavily on the COVID situation at the start, but I think this might even be a benefit moving forward. Even if you do one in person, and then
yeah,
throughout the remainder of the management term, if you're happy with the tenancy in itself, I would personally opt for the remote visit moving forward anyway.
yeah, 100%. And also I suppose it depends on the relationship you got with your tenant anyway, because if you trust the tenant or you have got a really good relationship, then there's no reason why you can't use this feature. So
Yeah, definitely so. And as we say, we're still going to be touching base with them on the phone. It's a good resident
yeah,
touch point, helps from the management side of things, and keeps everybody happy. And happy tenants tend to stay is a proven
yeah.
fact. So that's what we want.
And another thing to probably add as well is this feature is completely free on Image Hive. There's no additional charge to use it. You get unlimited reports on your Image Hive account. So it's not an add-on or paid add-on. It's just part of the standard subscription. So hopefully that will be a benefit. So I think I'll bring that to a close now. We're just short of 25 minutes. Thanks for everyone's time today. Alex, you've been absolutely brilliant again. If anyone wants to get in contact with us to learn more, just drop us an email at info@inventoryhive.co.uk or go to our website www.inventoryhive.co.uk. So yeah, cheers guys. Thanks for your time. Alex, you've been a legend again.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Cheers guys.